Good evening, good afternoon and good morning to all our web-wide audience. My name is Gary Crowley and I'm very pleased to say that I've been joined this evening by one Noel Gallagher from Oasis. Good evening. And we are here for this very, very special, this exclusive live and on-demand webcast to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Oasisinet.com in association with Real Networks and MTV. Now, the webcast is now live, so please do send in your questions via this dedicated microsite, and we're going to do our very, very best over the next couple of hours to get Noel to answer as many as possible. Now, I've been told, Noel, that we've had something like 5,000 questions already sent in from all around the world. We're going to begin with a question from Japan. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. This one comes from Sukiyaki, Noel, who wants to know, which band do you think has the coolest name in the world, excluding Oasis?
I've always thought the Stone Roses was a pretty good name.
What was it about that appealed?
I don't know. It was just quite inspiring at the time. I think they have said in past something hard and something soft, you know. They liked the juxtaposition between the two things, apparently, or John Squire did. But I don't know, it's just kind of a cool name, the Stone Roses. And, well, the Rolling Stones is probably the best name of all time, though, I think.
Well, I'm going to ask you about the, you know, the name Oasis as well, just in case people watching this don't know as well. What's the real story about how you came upon that? Was it a poster? The
real story is really, really dull. So can I tell you a blatant lie?
Yeah, go on. Dress it up a bit.
Yeah, there's a market in Manchester called the Underground Market, which is underneath. I can't remember what street it's called. But anyway, and in the Underground Market was a store called Oasis that used to sell like really cool trainers and a kind of clothing that kind of 80s casual football clothing. So I'm saying we got the name from there, but the actual real story is appalling. But it's an appalling name.
I mean, Sukiyaki from Japan also says, I personally think Velvet Underground is the coolest as well, which brings us nicely to one of the tracks on the forthcoming album, Don't Believe the Truth, because I think it's the song Mucky Fingers, which has got a real kind of sort of driving Velvet feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, we were in the dressing room. I think it was in Italy one night. On the last tour, and me and Gem's not a Velvet Underground fan, and I was kind of playing him stuff and going, "You're not having that?" And he's going, "I'm not having that." I put another one and said, "You're not having that?" And he's going, "No." And I think we got to Waiting for the Man. And I went, "You're having that though, aren't you?" And he's going, not really into his voice. And I think the conversation went something like, they would have been better with Bob Dylan singing. And a kind of a light bulb went on, and I was like, well, I've got a tune, actually. You know, and it was kind of... I had the tune Mucky Fingers. I didn't have the lyrics or the melody or anything. And I kind of changed the beat to go with Waiting for the Man and sang it in the style of Bob Dylan, wrote some kind of rapping lyrics, maybe. I don't know. But that's how that came about.
Well, people have got that to look forward to when the album is released. What's going through your head at the moment, Noel? You know, I mean, you're currently rehearsing at the moment. Well, not right at this very moment, but just kind of sort of generally. I mean, what's kind of sort of going through your head, you know, just before the release of a new album and also, you know, a world tour as well?
I think we've got 6 or 8 gigs before the record comes out, and I'm kind of wishing that the album would be out before those gigs, because we can't play too many of the new songs at those gigs, so they'd be all over Tinternet in the morning. So I'm kind of wishing we could play some more new songs at these first bunch of gigs, because they all sound really, really great. Actually, the new ones are making the older ones sound a bit old for once. We've never had that before. And it'd be nice if Liam manages to turn up. Once would be handy, twice would be great. Every day would be amazing. And apart from that, just kind of want to get out and do a gig now and
itching to get going.
Yeah, and play somebody the new songs and see how it goes, really.
Yeah.
And of course we've only ever done 2 gigs with Zach, so it's all. We all need to get out on the road, man, and kind of, you know, start doing it really, as opposed to, because we've been in the studio for not 3 years solid, but we've been in the studio for a couple of years. And now rehearsing for about a month. It's time to go out and face the public, I think.
Okay, well, we're going over to Thomas from Brazil, who's emailed in with a question for you, Noel, he wants to know, do you plan on coming to Brazil in 2005 or 2006?
I've got a sheet of paper at home, which has got all these really, really nice colour-coordinated blocks, and one of them does indeed say South America. I couldn't tell you when, and I couldn't tell you where, but I'd have thought if we got to South America, we better I'd be going to Brazil if we're going to South America.
Have you played there in the past, out of interest?
We've played there, I think, twice, and yeah, it's always been quite scary actually. It's a pretty tough place, you know. And we played Sao Paulo, which is hardcore, absolutely frightening, and we played in Rio, and I just remember, you know, the Copacabana beach and all the kids playing football and going up to see that big statue of Liam, or is it Jesus? I don't know, I can't remember. On the top of that hill, going up there for the day with an hangover. Frightening. But no, it's a beautiful place.
Michael from Birmingham's just emailed in, Noel, and he says, I read that you watched Coldplay play the other night here in London. What did you think?
I've got to say, I don't remember too much about it because I was fucking twatted by the end of it. But
twatted as in a bit merry?
I was a bit drunk.
Had a few drinks.
I'm thinking it was great. We had a good night because, I mean, we've kind of known them for a bit and we had a bit of a drink in the dressing room with them. But I'm thinking it was great. I can't remember too much about it, to be honest. I remember it, but I remember Chris Martin jumping out of the crowd and climbing up all the way up to the balcony and giving me a big kiss in between during one of his songs, actually.
Well, that's nice, isn't it? I mean, talking of Coldplay, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people, you know, eagerly anticipating the release of their new album as well. Who are the bands who you kind of consider as your peers, Noel? I mean, who are the bands that you kind of measure Oasis against?
I was talking about this the other day to someone. We kind of, the bands that we came through with, none of them are around anymore. The only one band who were kind of connected to us because they kind of desperately kind of tagged on to us with Blur, but they're not around anymore. So we're kind of peerless in a way because all like Coldplay and all like Travis and all that, they came after us, and U2 were of course 10 years in front of us. So there isn't really anyone.
And U2, I guess, you know, they had such a history, you know, before you guys exploded anyway,
but
didn't they?
But they're kind of peers of New Orders, you know what I mean? I don't think there's anybody that stuck it out as long as we did. Which I don't know whether that's cool or not, is it? I don't know.
Well, let's go back to the questions because they're coming in thick and fast as well, and I'm very interested to know the answer to this one. Scott has emailed in from Scotland, Noel, and he wants to know what's your favourite Paul Weller song and why?
It's a song called Hung Up, which I don't believe was on any album. I think it was just an interim single between Wildwood and Stanley Road. It's got these two chords in it that I could never play, and he showed me how to play them one day, and there's weird Paul Weller chords like these. One you can play with your thumb and that finger, which is virtually impossible. But I don't know why that song. If it was to pick one, it'd be that one. But I think my favourite period of his is kind of Heavy Soul, and well, I mean that trilogy of albums, Stanley Road, Wildwood, and Heavy Soul, are amazing. But actually, his new tune that he's got coming out soon called From the Floorboards Up, which me and you've been talking about before, is amazing. And anybody who's a Weller fan, it's the best thing he's done for years. But don't tell him I said that because it'd go off his head.
Right, back to the questions. Nathan from Ontario has emailed in, Noel, and he wants to know, he's wondering if you guys are planning on playing a lot of the old stuff on the forthcoming world tour. And he says, thanks a lot, Oasis are the best band in the world.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to be doing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to be doing 8 off that album, which is the new one, and probably about 10 or 11 old ones and a cover. So, yeah, you know.
What's your criteria for choosing the set as well? I mean, you know, you're up to your 6th album now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you guys go about, you know, deciding, you know, which songs? Yeah, I would imagine it would be.
We tried this time to try and bin off some of the ones that we've always done supersonic for like however long it is, we've been going since 1964 or something. And Acquiesce, we've never done a gig without Acquiesce, but we're trying to kind of get rid of that and do some more of the B-sides, because the ones from 94 and 95 are so famous as B-sides that it's about time we dusted them off, really. But it's difficult. A lot of it kind of depends on Liam, because it's all right the rest of the band going, oh, that's great to play, but, you know, Liam's got an appalling memory, and he just goes, I don't even know what the words are, you know. But we're getting there with the new set. It's not bang on yet, but it will be in a few weeks, I think.
And what about this cover version as well? I mean, can you tell us what that's going to be, or is that going to be a surprise?
What for the tour?
For the tour.
No, we're gonna stick with My Generation, because Zach's been in the Who for the last 10 years, and
so he's used to playing it.
But not only that, he plays it like I've never seen it played before. He plays it like Keith Moon. So when we were gonna do something else, but I don't know. We just can't. My Generation kind of fits us. It's like we always used to do Mime and the Walrus for 10 years, and that kind of fitted. And My Generation fits where we're at. But saying that, we might not do one, because if it's a toss-up between a song by The Who and a song off the new album, then we'll probably do a song off the new album. But
let's talk about Zach Starkey,
about
being the
Zach
band's
Starkey.
drummer as well, because I'm fascinated to know this. I mean, I first interviewed you, a fair few years ago now, back in the mid-1990s.
Made your career, actually, didn't it?
Would you have believed that you would have had, one of the Beatles' sons playing in your band?
No.
Tell us how that all happened.
Well, we parted ways with Alan, and we actually, for the Death in Vegas sessions, we had another friend of ours called Terry Kirkbride, who actually drums on Mucky Fingers on the record. And he drummed on all the stuff in Cornwall. But we'd already asked Zach, would he do the tour? Because our little mate Terry, we love him to bits, but he's a fairly chaotic kind of character. And he, it was not that he's unreliable or anything, but he's the kind of guy that would probably get lost on tour somewhere, in Brazil or somewhere. You'd go out and you never see him again.
Is that a drummer?
Yeah, and so we kind of already asked Zach, would he do the tour with us, and he said yeah. And then, once the sessions were scrapped in Cornwall, we said to Zach, look, we've binned all this recording off now. Are you up for playing some stuff on the record? Because we don't want to get halfway around the world and you're playing on a song live that you didn't play on the record, and it sounds better, so you might as well come play on the record. And he said, well, we're kind of with The Who for another 2 months. So we said, all right, well, we'll have a 2-month break, and we'll go and write some more songs, which was the problem anyway with the Death in Vegas sessions. We didn't have the tunes. And he finished off doing his stuff with The Who, and we kind of went back and done some more writing. And Danny came, and that was it, and he's in.
And what's he brought to the band as well?
Well, I'm probably not the best person to ask. It's probably better to ask someone who's actually bought and listens to the albums, and it'd be handy if somebody would tell me, because to me he's great. But his drumming on the record is fantastic. I mean, it speaks for itself. But drummers are drummers, isn't he? So I don't know. It's not for me to say whether he's better than Alan or not, or better than Terry, you know what I mean? It's for someone else to say. But he's a very, very funny, cool guy.
Back to the questions. Eric in the Netherlands, Noel, wants to know, what's your favourite song on Don't Believe the Truth, and why? It's a tough one for you.
Yeah, let me have a look. What's on it?
And should we tell people you've written, is it 4 or 5 songs?
I've written 5.
5. Liam's written 3?
Liam's written 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Getham's written 1 and Andy's written 2. My favourite... See, some days when I get up, it's Mucky Fingers, because it's having it. And then other days, it's The Importance of Being Idle, because it's the bollocks. And then some days, it's Part of the Queue, because it's so different. And then, I don't know, if you was asking me which one would I like to listen to now, I would probably say Mucky Fingers, because I've had a beer.
OK, and for people who've yet to hear that, what's the vibe of that one?
Mucky Fingers, it's the Velvet Underground / Bob Dylan one.
Donna from Las Vegas wants to know, I'm anxiously awaiting the new album and also the tour in the States as well. On the American tour, are you planning on playing in Las Vegas?
Yes.
You've played there before, haven't you?
Yeah, it's great. I love Las Vegas. Have you been there?
No, I haven't. What's
mad
about it?
Well, there's a 40-foot Coca-Cola bottle in the middle of the strip, say no more. It's just mental. Well, it's Las Vegas. It's mental. There's a. You have to go there.
Did you guys play the Hard Rock Cafe?
We played the Hard Rock Cafe.
Right.
Maybe 2 or 3 times, I think. I think we've done it twice on our own and once with the Black Crows. It's actually mad there because you think that it'd be loads of tourists, you know, but it's not. There is actually there's actually a community there. And at one of our gigs is where Brandon from The Killers formed the band The Killers, apparently. He's watching Media Don't Look Back in Anger. Thank you very much.
Jolie in Finland, are you guys going to tour Scandinavia?
For sure. Yeah.
Definitely going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know when, though.
Well, she also says, I'm from Finland, so it would be great if you could come here, but Sweden isn't bad at all.
I went to Finland once, right? The only place I've ever been in the world where I was drinking a bottle of lager, and I looked back on the thingy, and it had you know, you see these graphic signs on the back of them. I had a skull and crossbones and a flammable logo.
You like that? That appealed.
Well, wouldn't you? Flammable lager.
Does Andy still live in Sweden?
Andy lives in just outside Stockholm, I think.
Right.
Yeah, he kind of spends half the year in darkness and the other half of the year in light. It's casually driving him insane, I think.
Let's talk about Andy and Gem, if we can. I mean, they've both been in the band for, you know, a good couple of years now.
Oh, since '99, 6 years
now. Is it really that far back? Right. I mean, how have their roles sort of, you know, evolved in the band? I mean, how would you sort of say...
They're at a point now where, even on the last record, they were contributing songs, because Gem had a song on there and Andy had one. But I think they're at a point now where they now actually can contribute more ideas as well and have more of an opinion on the direction of the band and the direction of the record, which is great because on Eden Chemistry, you know, Gem kind of stuck to playing guitar and Andy kind of stuck to playing bass. But now, if I'm playing a bit on one of Gem's songs and it's not right, he's kind of got the confidence now to say, "You're not playing right, give it here," you know. And the same with Andy. So they're not only contributing the songs as well. They kind of it's more of a band ethic, really. Yeah.
And are they kind of turning you on to new stuff as well, Liam as well? I mean, I've kind of got this sort of picture of you guys, you know, continuously kind of playing records to each other.
The best record I've heard in the last 5 years I got off Andy Bell about 2 weeks ago, and it's a compilation made by Sonic Boom, who used to be in the Spaceman 3. And I think it's a compilation of all his favourite records. I don't know what it's called.
So it's various artists, but
yeah,
his choice
it's great.
of music.
It's fantastic. Andy's in, what's he into at the moment? He's banging on about the Brian Jonestown massacre the other day. Right. In the back of the band.
There's a film, a documentary coming out about them, isn't there?
Yeah, they supported us years ago, and then they kind of turned into the Dandy Warhols. But apparently they're the bollocks.
Yeah, well, the film's meant to be very good as well. Simon in Cape Town now wants to know, will Oasis ever come to South Africa?
Might go on my holidays.
What about the band?
I don't know. It's on that sheet of paper with all the really beautiful blocked colours on it. It doesn't say Africa, South or otherwise. But I'd have to speak to my manager. I'd love to go. Does anybody know any nice hotels?
What is your criteria for you know, choosing the places that you do visit on tour?
Well, we don't. You know, there's experts that do that. You know, we've got people who work all that stuff out. You know, I mean, if it was up to us, you know, we'd be playing all the tourist hotspots of the world. You know, and you wouldn't be going to the places like Cleveland, for instance. But we've got experts that deal with that. We don't really get that. I mean, we'd be able to say, well, we're not going there, you know, like Baghdad or something like that. You know, if somebody said there was a gig in Baghdad, I'd probably say, oh, that's full of Americans, not going there. But we don't really say, oh, we have to. But I'd love to go and play in. So I've never played in. Where is it? I've never played in Vienna. I'd love to go to Vienna, and I'd love to play in Russia. But that always falls on deaf ears.
OK, we're talking of playing live. Thiago from Brazil wants to know, what is the best thing about being in a band and travelling around the world?
Well, that answers its own question. It's travelling around the world, really. I think the
Do you get a chance to take time out from all the travelling and actually get to see places?
Not really.
As well?
Not on tour, because we're usually besieged in the hotels, and especially in South America and Italy. And Italy particularly, it's quite mental in Japan and that. But we've I'm not really a sightseeing person. I mean, I kind of take a long breaks in between albums, and I kind of go on holiday with my missus and that, and do all that. But while we're on tour, I'm always working, doing stuff like this and radio sessions, and generally keeping the flame alive. While Liam and that we sat by the pool sipping banana daiquiris.
What about when you're actually travelling as well? I mean, kind of sort of paint a picture of what you all do. I mean, are you listening to music? Are you reading books? How do you kind of sort of while away the time? Because travelling, the actual physical side of travelling, of being in the band, it must do your head in, mustn't it?
On an aeroplane, you kind of hope that the tour manager, she kind of holds up the plane tickets like this, and if you've drawn the short straw, you sat beside Liam. I mean, luckily enough, you may laugh, but it's true. On my requirements, it's like must not be sat anywhere near Mr. Noel Gallagher, and I think Gem and Whitey used to always draw that short straw because Liam likes to drop a juice on an aeroplane, and he can get quite rowdy. Other than that, it's just kind of slink into your seat, pull the collar up, put your shades on, put your headphones on, and just hope that you're not going to get arrested at the end of it, because Liam can be pretty rowdy on an aircraft, I've got to say.
Donna from Silverstone here in the UK, what do you like doing best to relax, to chill out?
Watch football. I watch an extraordinary amount of television. I love it. It's great.
And what about your beloved Manchester City? How would you? What's your sort of reaction to their progress in the season?
We've been in mid-table obscurity for a few seasons. I'm hoping we go down next season because I'm getting fucking bored with not being involved in a promotion or a relegation. So I'm quite sick of being like 16th in the league, like Aston Villa or something.
Want that edge, that excitement.
Who wants to be Charlton? Nobody.
I mean, you spoke a little bit earlier on about, not wanting to sit next to Liam as far as the travelling is concerned. What about your relationship over the years as well? Is that kind of sort of, same as it always was, really, up and down?
Well, you done our first ever interview, right? And it's the same. It was the same then as it is now. It's just, some days it's great, some days it verges between Abbott and Costello, Simon and Garfunkel, Tony Blair and Gordon Brown and John and Paul.
What's it today?
Today, I don't know, he kind of turned up for rehearsals for about 15 minutes and left, so it was he just kind of whisked himself off into the distance, flapped his cape and off he went.
I mean, we talked a little bit earlier on about, the fact that he's written 3 songs for the new album, Don't Believe the Truth. How do you feel that he's maturing as a songwriter?
He's got, the jump in class from Little James to Songbird was amazing, because Songbird is such a great song, and it's really, really simple. And the jump again in class from Songbird to Guess God Thinks I'm Able and The Meaning of the Soul is massive. So he's getting there, but you've got to kind of whisper it. Let's whisper it between me, you, and the rest of the world, because he can get a bit big-headed, But he's doing great. I mean, I love his songs, and that's probably the biggest compliment I can pay him.
And how does he, go about, letting you know and the rest of the band about, that he's got a song ready?
How does he go about it?
Yeah, because I've got to tell this story. I mean, I bumped into him last summer.
Did he sing it to you?
Yeah, did he?
Cool, yeah. Well, that's what he does.
Well, tell people the story, because this is what he does.
Regardless of whether he's got a guitar or anything, it doesn't matter. He'd pick up an ashtray and play it to you on the ashtray and sing it in your ear as loud as possible.
And not just once?
No, like 20 times until the kind of taxi comes and you go, look, I've got to go, it's 5 in the morning, I've got to get off. But he kind of beats you over the head with it for months and months and months until you record. And a lot of his songs are shit, but a lot of, like 3, 4 or 5 of them every year would be great. And there's another couple that didn't make it on at the album, which I think are going to be B-sides off the singles, which are as good as anything on there. Not just this song, they're as good as anything else on there, but because of the sequencing and stuff like that, it kind of didn't fit. But he's doing really well. I mean, Gem helps him a lot. And by that, I don't mean he writes bits for him, but Gem kind of sits and works out with him what he wants to do. But he's doing great.
And what's it like for you having effectively 4 songwriters in the band now? I mean, you know, it's obviously, you know, to an extent, I would imagine, sort of taking the pressure off you.
I think Liam, the best quote is Liam's, and he said, it's, you know, a jet plane is better having 4 engines than 1. It just makes it a lot easier, and it means that I don't have to write 16 songs for an album and pick from 16. It's like I can concentrate on doing 5 or 6. It just makes it better. It would be difficult, I think, if everybody else's songs weren't as good as the ones of mine that kind of get shoved off and all that. But they're fantastic, you know. And I mean, I kind of get the final say anyway, so I pick their best and I pick my best. It's all good. It's all good.
And you know, for people, you know, watching this, Noel, who have yet to hear the album, I mean, how would you sort of, you know, kind of sort of describe it? Oasis, you know, 6 albums down the line. Where does this one find you?
I think that for people who are not Oasis fans, or who kind of think we're all right, I think they'll think it's a very, very good album. But I think for the fans who've been with us since 1994, they'll know it's very, very special.
Tell us about the recording of this album as well, if you can, Noel, because you've taken a couple of run-ups for the recording of this album, haven't you?
Yeah.
Why didn't it work, you know, the first couple of times?
The first time with Richard and that from Death in Vegas, we didn't have the songs. You know, we were down in Cornwall and the vibe was great and everybody was getting on, but it kind of transpired that we didn't have the right material, and we kind of just went back to the drawing board. But the album was always in motion. It was always going somewhere. We never got to a point where we thought it was finished and then listened back to it and thought, oh no, that's shit, we've got to scrap it. We were only ever halfway through it and thought, the songs aren't right. Then the second time we went to do it, we didn't have a producer, and that caused a bit of friction. And I was kind of left in the producer's chair, which I didn't really want to do from the outset. And then by the time we got to record in the States with Mr. Sardi, we had the plot. We had all the songs, and you know, he insisted we go to America, which we weren't too happy about initially, but it all worked out well in the end.
What was it about Dave Sardi that appealed to him as a producer? Because I think you've you know, said before that, you know, I mean, you know, do you feel that Oasis need a referee in the studio?
Yeah, I do now. Now there's 4 songwriters, yeah, because I don't like being in a position, and it might be just me being a bit paranoid. I kind of wouldn't like to be in the chair saying, well, today we're going to do one of my songs, and I don't know, it just needs to be somebody who is independent and who's looking at it for what it is for a record, you know. It's like, you know, if Liam was in the producer's chair, it'd all be Liam songs. It works, you know. It worked this time anyway.
Let's ask another question that's been emailed in, and they're coming through thick and fast, so keep them coming in, folks. JD from Rochester in Michigan, in the good old US of A, wants to know, what is your usual method, Noel, of songwriting? I.e., is it lyrics before music, music before lyrics, or a whiskey before both?
Yeah, don't do whiskey. God, it always tasted horrible to me. I used to write a lot when I was younger, when I was drunk and off my head, but not anymore. And it's always the chords first. It's always the chords and the melody at the same time, and the words always come last. And it's a real struggle for me to write words.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not a wordsmith, you know.
Do you find yourself kind of going back, you know, continuously honing all the time, tinkering?
Yeah, rewriting and rewriting. Yeah, there's always, even now, there's, you know, on Mucky Fingers, for instance, the chorus, you people out there, you'll understand when you hear it. It kind of goes, "It's all mine." I laboured for months over that, because for a month it was "It's all right," and that didn't feel right, and it was this, and then it was that, and then it was this. I'll spend months getting one word right in one line before I commit a song to tape. I mean, it's just the way I am, and I don't really like writing lyrics. I mean, if I could get somebody else to do it for me, that'd be great. So if Morrissey's listening. Well,
talking of Morrissey, that brings us nicely to our next
question. You've not got a
question
question off him, have you?
No, we haven't actually, but it kind of sort of, well, he comes from Manchester anyway. But Bob from the Netherlands wants to know, Noel, are you proud of being from Manchester?
Yeah.
Totally.
Why? Well, it's what gave me my sense of cynicism. It's what gave me my sense of style, my sense of humour, my sense of pride in being working class. It gave me my absolute and utter and undiminishing loathing for Manchester United. And it's nice to have a lot of cousins in Liverpool. I like that, because I love the Scousers. Yeah, I mean, Mum still lives there, and I love her as well.
And looking forward to playing there, of course, later on
Yeah.
this summer. Is that always special?
No, it's a pain in the fucking arse. It's like...
Don't mince your words.
Because well, like London's home now and Manchester's home, and we got loads of family up there and loads of friends down here. And hometown gigs are just a pain in the arse, because everyone's got to get in and everybody wants to see you, and it's, you know, your phone's always going, oh, I'm outside and I can't get in. It's like, you should have bought a fucking ticket then, shouldn't you? And anyway, Mum, shouldn't you be in bed? You know?
Michael from somewhere in England wants to know, do you prefer playing larger venues or smaller ones? Well, that's an interesting question, because you're going to be doing some very small gigs for Oasis here in London next month, aren't you?
Well, the big ones, it's like, it's a mass celebration. It's a real spectacle. It's amazing. And that's great, because the sheer volume of people, and to be on that stage, because although the kids are in the crowd and they see the band, I got to tell you, from the other side of the stage, it's amazing, because the kids are looking at 5 people and a keyboard player. You know, we're looking at 70,000 people, you know, over the banners and all that, and hearing them sing is just somewhat special. But on the other hand, saying that, you know, a gig indoors in the dark with the roof on, it's just the sheer volume and the feeling that you get from those gigs are pretty special as well. I mean, I kind of like them both, really.
I mean, do you like having a roof on you, you know, and that kind of sort of energy, that kind of pent-up thing, almost about to explode?
It's all night, hot and sweaty, and it's great, you know. And you can see the kids, and that's brilliant.
Damaris from Brazil wants to know, where did you take the inspiration for the song Morning Glory, and also Sad Song as well?
Morning Glory was written around about the time of Definitely Maybe, and it started off, its title was a song, it was called Blue, and I think the opening line was, it's the first time I've ever said this, it went,
Go on, stop teasing us.
I live my life in blue, there's nothing anyone else can do, and it was fucking horrible. And Morning Glory came out of drink and drugs. I wrote it in I rewrote it in a hotel room not too dissimilar to this, and it was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of describes life as a young person, you know, like when you're walking on the street and you've got your Walkman on and, you know, dancing down your favourite tune, you know. Oh, it's brilliant. That's one we'll be playing on the tour, but I don't know where the actual inspiration come from, the writing. I don't know, that's why I was drunk.
I know you're a big, you know, you're a massive music fan, and you know, you're always listening to new stuff as well. But you know, what do you get? And I'm always interested to know this, Noel, from people. But what do you get? You know, being able to write a song. You know, what does it kind of sort of give you? You know, that feeling. Yeah, well, that obviously, yeah.
Get money
in the bank.
It's what I do. You know, I don't really want to. I've never been one for sitting down and analysing it, because then it'll just take the magic out of it for me. I was given a gift, not by fucking God, by somebody. It's in the genes of my family, although from what I can make out, me and Liam were the first 2 musicians in our family. But it comes from somewhere. I think being kind of Irish descent has a lot to do with that. And it's a magical thing for me, and I'm really lucky to be a songwriter in a fairly successful band and have a lot of fans and stuff, but it means the world to me, and it's something that I'll carry on doing until I can literally not hold a pen in my hand anymore, you know. It's just magic. It's magic to me.
Have you ever had a writer's block at all, or
No, I've had writer's block in the sense that I've written a lot of shit songs, you know, but I kind of...
You get through it.
Yeah, you just got to write yourself through it. You know, I mean, everybody has got shit songs in them, and everybody's got great, well, not everybody, but, you know, songwriters. And I think the trick is if it's not happening, is just write them, but don't play them with anybody. You got to get them out of your system. Everybody's got a BA now in them. You know, everybody's got low points and high points. You know, and you never appreciate when you're up. You know, until you're down. You never appreciate when you're down until you're up, you know. So.
Very wise words, and that leads us
Thank you
into the video for Lila, which we'd like to show to people, and then we'll talk some more after this.
Okay.
Oasis and the new single, the forthcoming single, that's Lila. I'm Gary Crowley. If you've just joined us, this is Noel Gallagher from Oasis, and I hope you're enjoying this very special, exclusive live and on-demand webcast to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Oasisinet.com in association with Real Networks and MTV. And don't worry, if you have missed the past half hour or however long it has been of this webcast, you will be able to see it in its entirety as a video on demand as of from tomorrow, and that's going to stay online all the way through until June the 24th. And we've already had over something like 6,000 questions emailed in, but please keep them coming in via the box on the right of the video window, and we're going to do our very best to get as many answered as possible over the next couple of hours, because you've got nothing to do this evening, Mr. Gallagher, have you?
I'm at a loose end. My missus has gone out to a party, so I'm here all night.
Okay, right. Well, unfortunately, I've got to be somewhere a little bit later, but we'll certainly be here for a good couple of hours.
You can I'll just
leave you there.
I'll just stay. Okay. If I could fiddle with that there, man, you know, it'd be all right.
Let's talk about the video, if we can,
Let's
as well.
talk about the video director.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who he?
He is called Tim Q. Kind of mentally disturbed, I think. There's some of his treatments that he sent in are all involved. Just people dressing very, very strangely, and we were kind of like, yeah, well, all right, well, we'll go with it then, as long as we look good. I mean, the inspiration was supposed to be the rock and roll circus, so it kind of turned into a rock and roll brothel in the end, and we were kind of a bit, yeah, but it was a good day out, you know. We got to play live in it, and it was a good crack. We all got drunk in the end, and we all remained great friends. And but he's since been fired.
And the video director, he's worked with the likes of the Prodigy in the past, hasn't he?
He's done the Prod and stuff for what's that fucking mental band? Muse. He's done some stuff for them. He's a real. I mean, he's done a great job. So, I mean, I still can't work videos out at all. I don't know. When I'm doing them, I don't know whether I like it. When I see it back, I initially hate it, and then everybody sees it and says, "What are you talking about? It's great." Apart from Paul Weller, who phones up and goes, "What's that fucking video all about?" It's like fucking Scissor Sisters.
Like only he can. Back to the screen. These questions are coming in thick and fast. Keep them coming in, and I'll ask Noel for you. This one comes from Lawrence in Ireland. Where did Stop the Clocks go? Now, I'm assuming that is a song.
Yeah.
So was it called Stop the Clocks, or where did the stop?
No, it's called Stop the Clocks, and it was written right at the end of Heathen Chemistry. In fact, it was written while Liam was doing the vocals for Stop Crying Your Heart Out. And the whole kind of album, it was kind of based around that song. Funnily enough, it was kind of based around that song. It was kind of a long Champagne Supernova thing. It's got fantastic lyrics, and it's a great vibe, but I felt that we never really got the correct version. We've got about 6 or 7 versions of it, and not one of them really kind of just sat in the pocket for me. So it's there, it's on the back burner. It'll be, I mean, originally the album was going to be called Stop the Clocks, which would have been a great title. But it kind of, because these songs were so new, that kind of began to feel very old, because it was written in 2001 or something. So, but it'll come out eventually,
Well, you mentioned that the song was recorded initially around about the time of Heathen Chemistry. I mean, I'm fascinated to know what you thought of that album as well.
Great.
And also,
that's great. I actually thought I thought it's a great album until you hear this one, and then you hear this one and you think, wow, fucking hell, it's great. It's kind of gone somewhere else again. I mean, Heathen Chemistry was brilliant, because to go out and play that on the road whenever it was, 3 years ago, after a kind of album that wasn't really well received in Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, was a real shot in the arm for us, And there's some great songs in it. I think that'll kind of stand the test of time, that album as well.
Nicola from Italy has emailed in, Noel, and wants to know, what is your favourite song? That's a tough one, that one, isn't it?
What,
Today.
Oasis song?
Well, why don't we do by somebody else first of all, and then do your favourite Oasis song? I mean, that's a tough call, that one. Good one, though, Nicola. I like that. I wouldn't have asked that one.
My favourite Oasis song, I think, today, probably Lucky Fingers, we said that already, haven't we? By somebody else, I don't know, what have I been listening to recently? It would have been that Sonic Boom album this morning, and the best song off that was a song by the Staple Singers, or the Staple Sisters, the Staple Singers.
Staple Singers, yeah.
And it was called...
Kind of soul gospel-y thing.
And it's called The Last Time, which, if I'm not very much mistaken, the Rolling Stones ripped off completely for their song. This will be the last time.
That's one of my favourite Stones singles ever. That's got such
well,
a great guitar riff
their
on
singles
there.
between that year, whenever it was, 65 to 68, just stunning. Have you got the box sets of the singers?
Yes, of course,
amazing.
yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Who are the, I mean, you know, apart from Lennon and McCartney, which I guess would be an obvious, you know, thing for you to say, who else are the songwriters that you aspire to, Noel?
Jagger and Richards, never... I feel sorry for them in a way, because they're kind of always in the shadow of the Beatles. And if you take... See, to me, you can't have the Beatles without the Stones. You know, and the T-shirts that people wear and the badges wear should say the Beatles and the Stones, you know, because they're kind of one and the same thing to me. The Stones defined everything about the 60s, possibly even more so than the Beatles, I think. But there'd be them, the Sex Pistols, Lee Mavers, an absolute inspiration to me still to this day. John Squire and Ian Brown. The Bee Gees, funnily enough. But let me just round that off by saying, not that fucking shit like Jive Talking or Staying Alive or that fucking Medallion Man rubbish.
Fever,
it's
period.
like 66 to 69. They're the bollocks. People just go and check out their albums, man. There's an album called Idea and one called Horizontal. And I can't remember any of the rest.
Have you met any of the Bee Gees on your
No, I'd
travels
love to.
at all?
I'd love to meet the ones that are still alive. Honestly, we're a massive... I think there's only Oasis in the whole world who are massive Bee Gees fans, but not after 69, not that disco fucking nonsense, not that.
And what about, you know...
And they're from Manchester.
Yes, of course, yeah, originally they were, that's right, yeah, before going over to Australia, wasn't it? It was Australia. And what about, you know, the kind of new crop of bands as well? I mean, you know, who's kind of sort of exciting you now, Noel, and making you feel like a fan?
The Libs, when they were going, were great.
This is the Libertines.
Although I kind of got them after the fact, which is a shame. Although I did go and see them when they were happening. I've been to see Baby Shambles. They haven't had a record out, so I was kind of there to see the spectacle of the new anti-hero, his first gig out, coming out of Nick, which is great.
What do you make of, you know, what he's been going through over the past year? Yeah, Pete Doherty.
I think he's one of the last great bohemians, man. He's living his life like he wants to live it, and fuck everybody else. If he's going to change, and you know, he's a junkie and all that, but that's nobody else's business, I suppose. But I tell you what, he does need to do is he needs to make a great album, because then it will kind of put all the other stuff that he gets up to, the supermodels and the heroin and all that nonsense, it will put that completely in the shade. If he makes a great album, his place is assured in the room. But Raise the Light, I went to see them. I think they're fantastic. Kasabian are the absolute bollocks. The Killers are great. Can we talk about bands that I don't like? I like that more. I fucking loathe The Bravery. I hate them. Block Party. I fucking hate them.
Then who's this new band you're enthusing about just before we came on air? Yeti, I think they're called.
Yeah, John, who used to play bass in the Libertines, has got a band called Yeti, and they're mega. They're kind of like the Lars. The Lars meets the Kinks on a rainy day in King's Cross on Pro Plus.
Whoever's plugging that record should put that on the sticker on the back.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to the questions that are coming from all over the world. This one comes from Andrew in Doncaster and says, Noel, Hendrix or Dylan, who do you think had the most influence during the 1960s?
Dylan.
Are you a big Dylan fan?
I am. I'm not a great Hendrix fan, I've got to say. I think he wrote he wrote maybe like half a dozen good tunes, and he was a great guitarist. Blah blah blah. I think his band were great, but Dylan is the fucking man. End of story. Him and Neil Young. It kind of, when I grow up, well, when I was a kid, when I grew up, I used to say I want to be Bob Dylan or Neil Young. Noel Young, in fact, I used to say.
Noel Young. Jonathan from London wants to know, any chance, and this is an interesting question, any chance of you guys covering Ace of Spades by Motorhead? I reckon it would sound top.
I wouldn't have thought so in the very near future, but it's a great tune.
You could hear Liam singing that, couldn't
Actually,
you?
that would be brilliant on the tour, wouldn't it? Yes, it talks about gambling and boozing, doesn't it? I think make a mental note of that. Who sent that in?
That's from Jonathan in London, yeah.
Ace of Spades, you never know.
Here's another good one. Ton, I think it is, who's emailed him from Holland. Who would you like to collaborate with in the near future? Actually, before you answer that one, Noel, of course, you know, a little while back you got to work and write with a hero of yours, Ian Brown from the Stone Roses, didn't you? Good fun, enjoyable?
Good fun. He's off his head, man. He's completely mental, yeah. It was good fun. And I kind of went on tour with him as well, which was great when he's doing all the Roses tunes and that. But Ian's a proper warrior, man. And I've had some good times in the studio with him. Really, really funny times as well, because he's fucking barking. But yeah, and the tune came out great, you know, and it was good to finally get the the Oasis Stone Roses hybrid on record. It's good.
What made them so special, you know, to you and Liam and, you know, the music scene? I mean, you know, they kind of sort of turned it upside down, didn't they, back in the late 80s?
Well, I was too young for the Pistols, and the Jam were not from where I was from. The next one in the lineage of Band of the People was the Smiths. And Morrissey was just so unique that he was just like I wouldn't say an odd character, but he was a unique character, so you couldn't actually aspire to be Morrissey. Well, I remember the Stone Roses walking out on stage one night and me just going, that's it right there, that's it, with the Jackson Pollock guitars, and I seen them early on when they weren't out the classic image that we have of them now. But even then, they look cool, you know. And I just remember being at a gig thinking, hearing Sally Cinnamon and thinking, that's it, I can do that. You know, I can't do Morrissey, I can't do Johnny Marr, because they were kind of fucking too cosmic for me, Johnny especially. And Morrissey was too great a lyricist, but the Stone Roses was something that you could reach out and touch that and be that, do you know what I mean? And that's not to demean it in any way.
Do you feel that they fulfilled, you know, the potential that they had? I mean, you know, they left behind, you know, one classic album, but you know, what do you think, you know, that they could have done if
they've got unfinished business, haven't they? It's a shame that it ended like it did, but they shouldn't have carried on after Rennie, really, because Rennie was kind of key to that group. But to answer that guy's question, I'd love to collaborate with Kofi Annan quite soon, because the world's in a fucking tough spot, man, and I'm kind of man, you know, sort it out, I think. Well, the new Pope. Yeah.
Have you heard that? What was that joke that somebody said? If the last Pope was called John Paul, the next one should be George Ringo. Anyway, upwards and onwards. B from Venezuela wants to know, do you feel that writing lyrics has become easier or harder for you as time passes?
The whole thing of being in a band should, on paper, get easier the more that you do it, but it actually gets more difficult, which is why this album has taken so long to do. And for whatever reason it is, I couldn't tell you, but it just gets more difficult to do it. It's like, I suppose, you present a radio show and people who write or people who are creative in any way, the more you do it, the more difficult it gets. That's why painters chop their ears off, and that's why Kurt Cobain committed suicide, you know. It just gets more difficult, but I think the rewards are greater the more records that you do, because it's really easy to write 2 great albums. Well, it's not really easy, you know. Fucking a lot of no marks in this city will never do it. But you know, it just gets more difficult to kind of push yourself. And when you get a lot of success as well, the drive maybe goes a little bit, you know. And once you've been around the world 20 times, it's like, you know. great, LA again. Woohoo!
So what drives you on then? I mean, you know, you've sort of, you know, you made some great albums, you know, you've sold shitloads of records and, you know, record-breaking gigs. What kind of sort of keeps you going? Have you made that perfect record yet, as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, definitely Maybe was pretty near to perfect as you're going to get. Either, whichever way you want to look at this, fortunately or unfortunately, it was our first attempt at making music. So we started off 10 out of 10, and it was only going to go one way from there, really. But I think I'm quite happy with the way the band's gone. There's been ups and downs, but the new record I'm really proud of. But I think if I ever thought I'd made the perfect record, I'd pack it in. But to answer the question, what drives the band on, is Liam, really. Liam is, if it was left to me, that I'd just be getting in the mood to follow up Morning Glory now. Liam is the one person in the band who gets mega impatient if he's not been arrested for 2 or 3 months for clouting a photographer.
And what about that enthusiasm to get in the studio as well? I think Dave Sardi, who's, you know, produced, you know, the new album, Don't Believe the Truth. And I think Zach says as well that, you know, that they're kind of amazed with that sort of drive, that energy that you guys have got to, you know, to kind of get into the studio and get busy.
Well, to initially fire up the engines of the band, I'm always a bit reluctant to do that, you know. Because like once you've had a few months off and you kind of sat on the beach in Mexico, you know, sipping pina coladas, thinking, fucking can't be arsed with all that nonsense, you know what I mean? Interviews, webcasts, all that bullshit.
You love it.
Yeah, and, you know, but once you kind of get into it, you know, I love being in the studio. And Dave Sardi, he'd never worked with a band like us before, because he used to get there at 12 o'clock every day and we'd all be sat there waiting for him and going, what fucking time do you call this, fat ass? And he kept trying to get there to beat, and you know, he says in one of the interviews that he's done, he kept saying, "Oh fuck, I'm going to beat those fuckers out today." And he got there one day at 11:30, and he was soul destroyed to hear Liam strumming Songbird as he walked through the studio. All right, good morning, Dave. What time are you here? Like, fucking 5 o'clock. But I mean, you know, once we start working and once you've got a record to do, we like to get in there, and I love being in this. I mean, I could have squeezed another 6 months out of Don't Believe the Truth. Easy.
Question here from Westo, who's emailed in from the Cayman Islands. Wants to know, Noel, who is your favourite Beatle and what is your favourite Beatles song? My favourite Beatle is Ringo, obviously, because we're going to get to meet him quite soon. He always was. He was the genius in that band. Forget the other two. What are they called? And what was the last bit? And your favourite Beatles song? My favourite Beatles song is Ticket to Ride, or I'm the Walrus. What is it? What do you like about Ticket to Ride? I don't know. I've always liked that song. Yeah, She Loves You, because I love that song as well. I've heard She Loves You too many times, but Ticket to Ride still sounds so heavy. Amazing. Yeah. And I'm the Walrus, because I can still put that on and listen to it on headphones now and still hear something that I've never heard before, and I must have listened to it 1,000,001 times. But I don't really have a favourite Beatle, because it was the Beatles, wasn't it? Yeah. And talking of the Beatles, the Beatles, you weren't there, but I understand when the band were recording the album at Capitol Studios in Los Angeles, Paul McCartney was in next door, wasn't he? Tell us the story. Well, they flew out a week earlier than me. This is the band, the rest of the band. Because I'd got the flu after being on the road with Ian Brown, funnily enough, and so they went out a week early. So when I got there, Liam's, hey, I never guessed he was in here the other day. Fucking McCartney. I'm going, really? Was he? He gets out this photograph, so there's Gem, Andy, Zach, Macca, and our Liam on the end, like that. And I'm going, you two-faced little fucker. And he's going, what? And I was like, you are on record as saying you were going to play golf off his head on fucking Primrose Hill. You called him a lesbian. You know what I mean? You loathe Paul McCartney, and there you are, with an arm round him. Like that. I said, you two-faced twat. He's just like, hey, he's a fucking geezer, McCartney. Well, I've never slagged off Paul McCartney. I was like, do you want me to go and get the press clippings? You know, but, yeah, the people... Isn't there also a story, See, now the thing is, right, if Paul McCartney would have walked into that studio and our Liam would have 5-ironed his fucking head right across the studio, I'd have a lot more respect for Liam. Because I'd be like, well, at least you meant it, you know? But didn't, no. All right, Paul. Isn't there also... I fucking love Blackbird. Isn't there also another story that when Macca was in the studio, he was rifling through the CDs? Well, what? Because
obviously I wasn't there, but we're in Capitol Studio, so some kid from the office come down. There's Capitol Records is upstairs, and they've just reissued loads of John Lennon CDs. And he brought down a box, and I seen the box, and it was literally, where's the camera? It's fucking that big. And there must have been 20 John Lennon, there's all that acoustic albums and bits of live stuff and all that, and apparently McCartney comes in and the band are all sat there, and they caught him kind of looking through the box, and someone went, oh, yeah, and he just went, fucking none of mine in here, what?
Right, Kathy from Weston-super-Mare, are you as hard as you make out?
I don't make out I'm really hard. Do I make out I'm hard? Well, you know me, I'm not that hard. But who is it? Was that a girl?
Yeah, Kathy.
I kick your fucking ass any day, love. Let's put it that way. Where are you from? Weston-super-Mare.
Weston-super-Mare.
Never see me in Weston-super-Mare, love, across the fucking street.
Kelvin from Wales wants to know, will you tour Wales this year?
I think we're playing Cardiff for our sins. Yep. I think we're playing Cardiff. I don't know when, though, whatever your name is. And I don't think it's going to be the Millennium Stadium. Somebody has mentioned the word Cardiff to me. Our manager's Welsh, as everybody knows, so he always likes to get us down there. So he can dig up the fucking money he's buried in the valleys somewhere. All the publishing advance from BA now, no doubt.
Claudio from Brazil was emailed in. A lot of emails coming in from Brazil.
Hey, we're massive in Brazil.
Yeah, you must get out there. What did you think of Ryan Adams' cover of Wonderwall?
I love it. Absolutely beautiful. Love it. Amazing. It should have been in a film and won an Oscar. Great. I love him. He's cool as fuck. And Liam loves it as well, which is equally as amazing as the song being great. But yeah, I love it to bits.
Would you ever write for anybody else, specifically? I mean, I know you've co-written with Ian Brown with that. I mean, would you ever kind of sort of, see someone on the TV or hear somebody and think, oh, I wouldn't mind writing them a song?
If I had a song lying about and somebody wanted to use it and it was unreleased, I wouldn't mind that.
But the clocks at the moment.
But I don't. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know whether I've ever kind of looked at Baby Spice and gone, yeah,
I could do something with that.
Need to do something with it. Or fucking Mel C. Gone like, yeah, cigarettes and alcohol. Get on this. I've got a new one. It's called fucking Shandy and Crisps.
Right, Gary from Stevenage. Ever thought of coming back to Nebworth?
No. We should have done the 7 nights we could have when we've done it, but I don't think. No, because then it would make that gig not. It's like we'd never do Main Road again, or we'd never do Loch Lomond, or we'd never do the Water Rats. Because then it would. Because I always have this thing with kids in the street, and they go, "Oh, I seen you at Earl's Court," and you go, well, "When? What time?" Because we played it like 3 or 4 times, and. I can only liken the gigs now to, or can only realise what gigs they're talking about when they say who supported us. So I kind of wish we'd only done Earl's Court the once as well, you know what I mean? But yeah, probably not. I wouldn't have thought, unless it's for some silly benefit or other.
What memories of that weekend at Nebworth?
I
mean, only kind of sort of clear-cut, defining ones that sort of stick in your mind.
Yeah, walking out on stage and getting quite carried away with the moment because they were the biggest ever. Everything was the biggest ever, and the most ever. And kind of walking out on stage and shouting, and it's all the bootlegs, me getting carried away and screaming, "This is history! This is history!" And Liam, the fucking cunt, down the mic went, "Oh, it was Nebworth."
What did he say? He said what?
I thought it was Nebworth. Not where's history? And. That's kind of the one. It's kind of the one defining thing that sticks out. But apart from that, it was great. John's, playing Championship over with John Squire was pretty special. It was all good crack at the time,
And what about coming on stage? Coming out on stage, Noel, as well, because when you looked out on stage at Nebworth, it went on forever. Yeah. But if you looked to the sides, it went on forever as well.
The only thing I've ever experienced like that was Rock in Rio when we've done that. And it was the same thing. You kind of look and you can't see the back of the gig, and you look out to the side and it goes on for as far as you can see. And I just remember thinking, what are all these people doing here? Because we hadn't actually been paid at that time. None of the money that we'd ever earned had come through from any of the 2 big albums that we'd had. And all the equipment we had was pretty shit. And I remember I didn't even have a guitar tuner. I had one like delay pedal. And, you know, bands that usually get to play places like Nebworth, you know, it's usually quite slick. I mean, we were all fucking idiots from Manchester. Even like all the crew were all idiots from Manchester. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And I've seen some of the footage now. And the stage set, it's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. But I wish we were doing it next week, actually. Now, you know, now we know a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Which is actually one of the cool things about doing Madison Square Gardens after 12 years of kind of banging your head against the wall in America. It's like we can kind of look at it now and think, right, you know, this is going to be great. Let's fucking do something special instead of just being like 20 odd and bowing up there, you know, and just having it on stage, you know. But it was good, I think. I
mean, the tickets, I understand, for the American, you know, leg of the world tour, you know, sold out very, very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, but when you guys have gone out there in the past, you know, the wheels off the wagon seem to sort of fall off somewhat, don't they? I mean, any kind of sort of thoughts as to, you know, what it is about America that things can sometimes go decidedly pear-shaped?
Well, I don't know whether many people know this, but the people who've kind of not many people get to tour America, right? And between New York and Los Angeles, there's nothing. You know, on a Wednesday in Omaha, you know, when, you know, Oasis are coming to town, there's fuck all to do apart from sit on the tour bus and get drunk and argue. And it's kind of always been a bit dull for us. New York's great and Los Angeles is great and Vegas is great and San Francisco, all like the big major cities. But we were doing a gig in Albuquerque one night. I've only ever heard that in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, do you know what I mean? Albuquerque, what the fuck am I doing? I'm from Burnage, what am I? I bet I'm the only person from Burnage ever to have been in Albuquerque. Seriously. And I would have graffitied the wall somewhere if I didn't think I'd got shot by one of the fucking rangers. But you got too much time on your hands in America, and because you don't tour on a bus anywhere else apart from in America, and there's like 13 of you on a bus that sleeps 13, and
so it's cabin fever.
Yeah, and you all get drunk, and it's, you know, you calling my shoe a lesbian, you know, shoes and puffs, that kind of thing. You know. But you know, as we've got older, I think the Black Crowes tour we done was great because we didn't have an album to promote, so we were just doing it for the sake of it, and that was great. The last time we toured there with the Soundtrack of Our Lives, it was great. We didn't go to the West Coast because Liam got his teeth smashed in. Go Germany. And this time will be great, I think. You know, I think we've gone through our phases of being silly little boys out there and insulting everybody that we meet, I think. I hope.
Philippe from Brazil wants to know, Noel, where do you find the inspiration to write songs as well?
From wherever, really, I don't know. Listening to other people's music, I think Keith Richards has the best take on it. You know, it's like, he who hath the best record collection, he writes the best music. It's kind of like, I mean, you only get good music from listening to good music, and it's as simple as that. I refer you to the answer of my learned friend, Mr. Richards. You know.
What about a song like The Importance of Being Idle on the new album? What was the inspiration for that one?
It was in one of the month breaks that we had in between recording, and me being quite inspired by my own lack of interest in the whole process of where it was going. Because I never like to panic in those kind of situations, because you don't kind of get anywhere. You usually, if you panic and make snap decisions or knee-jerk reactions to things, we always end up making the wrong decision. And I was kind of like, look, let's just chill the fuck out, man. It'll be finished when it's finished. And that was kind of it, you know. And there is a book called The Importance of Being Idle that has all these quotes from geniuses down the years about what it is to be an idle man. And I'm having nothing to do is probably the best job in the world. And I was kind of inspired by that and thinking, this is doing nothing is fucking great. It's brilliant. I mean, so I'm going to, from now until next March probably, I'm going to be flat out every day. You know, so I was kind of enjoying that time sitting down watching the telly.
Well, that brings us nicely to our next email, which comes from Jeff from Tadley in Hampshire, who said, if Oasis hadn't have got signed, Noel, what job do you think you would have been doing now?
I'd still be a roadie, I think. I was quite happy being a roadie. I would have done that.
What did you like about it?
Oh, it's just like being in a band, but you're not in a band, you're not famous, you know. There's plenty of drink, drugs and, you know, all the other things that go with associated with being in a group, but you never don't have to have your photograph taken. You don't have to do web chats.
But am I right in saying that, because of course, you know, you famously worked with the Inspiral Carpets for a little while as well. But didn't you used to, if one of the band couldn't make an interview, you would get I used to
do fucking phoners for Clint Boone when he was out shopping. He'd be off out buying fucking naff shirts and he'd like do these interviews for. I remember doing one, and Clint was a real aficionado on 60s psychedelic garage music, and he had an interview with some guy who was an expert on it, and it slowly dawned on this guy as the interview was going on that I knew fuck all about 60s psychedelic garages. I thought there was just garages that were painted for him.
Sebastian from Ontario says, no, I'm going to be at the show in Toronto.
So will I. I'll be there.
I was wondering.
See you there.
I was wondering if you could fit in the master plan into your set list. Any thoughts?
It's a bit long and it's a bit slow, and in a word, no, Sebastian. I don't think. Maybe, but no.
He also says here, by the way, Oasis is all rock and roll has left. Keep up the great work. Who are the bands who are coming through who, you know, have the potential to sort of, you know, challenge you guys, do you think?
Razorlight.
Were you a fan up until going to see them live?
I bought their album. The track, the Golden Touch, is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. I love that. I thought it was brilliant. And Stumble and Fall is my favourite song by theirs. I think it's fantastic. But I always kind of reserve judgment on bands until you go and see them live, because a lot of albums are quite misleading. You know, I've bought albums by bands and I've been to see them and thought it was just fucking shocking. But yeah, I bought the record and I was interested enough to go and see them live, and it kind of nailed it for me.
And is he good, the singer? I mean, is he a character? Is he?
Oh, he's absolutely convinced of his own immortality. He was saying to me, he said after the gig, I said it's great, and he said, I don't. What did he say? He said, I don't need your compliments, I need your advice, man. So I kind of put my beard down and went, it's what I do, Johnny. Let's hear it. And he said, what do I do when I get to Nebworth? You know. And I was like, well, I don't know, you know. Give us a ring when you've sold it out, you know. But he's convinced he's going to be the biggest star in the world. I kind of see a little bit of me and him.
That kind of cocky swagger.
Yeah, but he's got it to back it up, you know. He's in a fucking good band, you know. And I was kind of saying to him, when you start to play these big places, don't ever think that the place is bigger than you or your music. Because we kind of, you know, we were playing arenas before we had a second album out, like big arenas, you know. And I used to always say to the band would go in and go, fucking hell, you know, look at the size of this place. And I say, yeah, but it's not bigger than the music, you know. This place is too small to play Live Forever in. You know, Nebworth was too small to play Champagne Supernova. And you've got to think like that. Or, I mean, we were always of the attitude, even coming off stage at Nebworth for the second night, somebody saying, well, what now? And we were like, well, it's got to be a bigger gig somewhere, surely, you know.
We're going to the moon.
Yeah, well, you've got to have that. And I think he's kind of got that, and I like him for that.
Okay. Luciano from Argentina wants to know, is there a chance to make a new DVD, a live DVD, as good as Familiar to Millions?
Fucking hell, it wouldn't be difficult.
Not a fan of that one.
Fucking no way, man. No, it wasn't. They weren't the best two nights in the band's history, I've got to say.
This is Wembley Stadium, of course, wasn't it? Yeah.
I can say that safely now, knowing that the sales of it's tailed off somewhat. Of course, when it was coming out, I was probably saying it's the best thing ever. But yeah, I haven't got happy memories of that weekend, to be honest. We were in a weird place.
Yeah.
Me and Liam, just all of us. It was all weird, you know. Bonard and Griggs had left, and I don't know about live DVDs. They're pretty fucking hit and miss. I'm struggling to think of one that I like, you know. I think they kind of work.
Well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird. I think DVDs work. Live stuff work well as kind of historical pieces. If you buy like because we had like Nebworth filmed by a full film crew, and it's never ever come out.
Why?
Well, we kind of sat on it for like maybe, I don't know, it's like 20 years time. It'll be kind of relevant. It'd be something to look back on, and for people
telling their stories who were there. Yeah.
I mean, you could go like the Rodney Williams route and have it out immediately and cash in on it, but it was never about that with us. You know what I mean? That was kind of a moment in history for the want of a better word, what became the Britpop thing, you know. And all the bands that were on it as well, all were fantastic. And I think I think it was filmed on proper film, not just like fucking Mickey Mouse video cameras, you know what I mean? And it was all about the fans. I think we had cameramen on trains with people going to the gigs. It's kind of going to be our little Woodstock.
Yeah.
But it's going to be something to look at when the big tax bill comes in, when Marcus has disappeared into a fucking cloud of smoke with all the money.
Simon from Cape Town, would you do MTV Unplugged again?
I would, yeah, I wouldn't fucking do it with Monkey Boy though. He fucked it right up for us.
Just for people watching this who, you know, might not know the story.
The story. The story is this, right? You know, MTV Unplugged said, "Are you having it?" And we went like, "Absolutely." The day of the gig, he turns up, been up all night, got a sore throat. Well, funny that, innit? You know, if you've been up all night drinking and smoking and talking absolute arse, that's funny that, innit? You're not able to sing. So anyway, because you can't cancel it because it's MTV, we had to go and do it. And then I'd only just started doing the backing vocals. I'd have a better collection of songs to do it now, you know. In fact, I'd love to do it. If anybody from MTV Unplugged is listening, I'd be throwing my hat in the ring for one of that Christmas special, maybe.
Well, let's show another video.
Right.
And, yeah, we're going to enjoy Oasis and one of the cracking singles from the last album, Hindu Times, coming next. Well, for those of you who have just joined us, where have you been? You're missing some cracking conversation here. Not from me, I'm just Gary Crowley, the presenter, but this is Noel Gallagher from Oasis, and I hope you're enjoying this very special, exclusive, live and on-demand webcast to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Oasisinet.com in association with Real Networks and MTV. And keep your questions coming in because we've had some absolute crackers so far. And don't worry if you have missed some of the webcast so far, because this webcast will be available as video on demand tomorrow, and it's going to stay online all the way through until June the 24th. I love terms like that, video on demand. Have you got any idea what that means?
No.
No, you haven't.
Well, yeah, you just go into Blockbusters and say, give us a fucking copy of Hard Day's Night right now, or I'll trash the gaff.
Do you email? Do you do email yourself? No, silly question.
No.
Or have you had a go at it?
No.
Just what, doesn't appeal, or?
No, I'm not into computers or iPods or any of that nonsense. I was the second last person in England to get one of those.
I resisted for a long time as well.
Yeah, no, it's a pain in the arse. I'm not. No, I mean, call me old-fashioned. The telephone always worked for me.
Yeah.
You know, or just shouting.
Yeah, very, very loudly. Fernando from Mexico has emailed in, and he wants to know, a lot of people want to know, you know, specific countries as to whether Oasis are going to be, you know, visiting there or not. So what about Mexico?
Well, I go to Mexico every year on my holidays.
What is it that you like about it?
I just love it. I love the people and the food, and I just love the it's just got a certain quality to it, you know, that I like, and it helps me relax. I love it.
Do you get recognised out there at all?
Absolutely, I'm an internationally renowned rock star.
Money in the bank.
Yeah. I go to the Baja Peninsula. I've been there for the last 2 or 3 years. They're fantastic people. I love them dearly. I hope we're going back this year. We've had some great gigs in Mexico City. I would hope so. Fernando. Is that his name? Fernando?
Jez from Brighton wants to know, what did you think of last year's performance at Glastonbury?
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I was on stage, so I don't know.
What was it like for you being on stage? Did you feel as though
it was all,
you were connecting with the audience?
It kind of took me a while to recover from Liam walking out of his dressing room with his white Parker on. I was quite shocked at that.
Do you have one of those?
A white Parker? No.
Mr. Weller's got one though, isn't he?
Say no more. No, I don't. And the white Parker done it for me, but I don't know why it didn't. I don't know why it didn't go down so well. I'm not too sure. I don't know. Were you there?
No. Watched it on the TV.
Yeah, was it any good?
Wasn't sort of, you know, wasn't cooking as you know, some gigs that I've seen.
I think Liam was in a bad mood.
Right. And talking of festivals as well, any particular ones that you're looking forward to playing over the summer across Europe?
We're doing the V Festival, and we're doing some in Germany and some in Italy, and I think we're doing Benny Cassim. They're all great. Do you know what I really like is we've done one in Australia last year, and we were second on the bill to some band called Powderfinger, and I think that's where we're at our best is in a foreign land, just below the headliners, because we fucking had it every
Got
night,
something
man.
to prove.
We turned them over every night, man. It was great. But I do festivals. The European ones are brilliant. And in England, there really only is one, which is Glastonbury. The other ones are kind of big corporate gigs in the field, and everyone's trying to flog you washing machines and hearing aids and fucking beer mats, you know. And but I'm not. Yeah, festivals are all right. The ones in Brazil, not in Brazil. The ones in on mainland Europe are fantastic. We're doing one in Germany. We're supporting Rammstein.
They're quite sort of full on, kind of sort of what, metal.
Well,
kind of electro.
I'm
metal.
hoping Liam will befriend the singer, whatever his name is, Wolfgang, no doubt. Right.
Kim from New York City has emailed in. No one wants to know, what are your favourite cities to play in the US and why?
New York, because it's the capital of the world.
And Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, we're doing that.
What does that mean to you, Oasis headlining at Madison Square Garden?
It wouldn't have meant so much back in '95, you know, because we were quite arrogant at that time, and we would have. It was just another gig, but it's great after all these years. You know, getting to sell it out now is amazing. I like San Francisco, and Vegas is pretty cool. All the major cities are all right, but you know, it's just kind of a bit of a struggle in America, because when we do television over there, they can't understand a word we say, and the radio DJs could be a bit, I don't know, they don't really get us over there, I don't think. But
why do you think that is? What, because of, you know, the thing that, I guess, certainly as far as the UK is concerned, you know, that arrogance, that sort of swagger is, you know, I think has always kind of sort of appealed to a lot of people. Do they kind of sort of feel as though maybe you are too arrogant over there? And
well, no, the arrogant, that label has never quite sat comfortably with me, because
not arrogance, no, but maybe that kind of cockiness, which I love. I think, you know, people, you know, that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're used to dealing with American bands who are quite grateful, you know, that, you know, people are playing your record on the radio and that they're stocking your record in their record shops. We're kind of the opposite of that.
You don't
know.
tug your forelock and play the game.
No, they should be grateful that they're playing our record, you know, and that we're coming to their town, not the other fucking way around. But we may have suffered from that in the past, but you know, we'll give it another go, see how it goes.
I can always remember being in Los Angeles with Simon Halfon, who does your sleeve designs. And
that was the first night we met. Was that the first night I met you?
No, this is in Los Angeles. This is in LA.
Right.
I remember being in a car and coming up to the traffic lights, and we were listening to K-Rock,
right.
And Wonderwall came on, and you know, we looked to the people to the left of us, and they had a convertible, and they were singing along to the song,
right.
And it was, you know, I mean, I didn't interview a couple of times by that sort of point, but it was really exciting. It was like, God, you know,
yeah,
it's kind of sort of, it's making inroads here.
Yeah, well, apparently the new single is doing quite well out there on the radio. I mean, a mate of mine has just been out there, and he called me up and said he heard it twice in one day in America.
Woohoo! Alvaro from Spain wants to know, which do you think are the bands that have influenced Oasis during the last few years?
Maybe Black Rebel Motorcycle Club and Kings of Leon.
What is it about the Black Rebel Motorcycle Club that you like so much?
Well, the name for starters.
You like the name?
Any
Don't
band,
ever interview them on a radio show.
Well, no, I won't then.
Yeah.
The name just is that first record is the bollocks. I don't know whether anyone had a direct influence on the music, you know, but yeah, like that one song, Whatever Happened to My Rock and Roll, and the Kings of Leon's first album and the Strokes' first EP were amazing. For me personally, Liam just loves everyone. The rest of the band are into him though. And
Soundtrack of Our Lives are a band that have always been favourites of yours, aren't they?
Yeah, probably my favourite band of the last 2 or 3 years.
Why?
Well, every time I see him on stage, I kind of think, I hope that's how I look when I play guitar. And I look back at the footage and I'm barely tapping my foot, you know, and Ian and Mateus and Ebert, they're all giving it the windmills and all that. I love all that. I wish I was in that band.
Why don't you guys do that then?
Well, personally, I've got a bad back, you know. But,
is that what you're putting it down to?
Well, that's just true, I've got a bad back. But I don't know. I'm just not, I just concentrate too much on what I'm playing. I suppose you've got to be a natural at that, you know, to do the old Max Show. Mind you, we've got Zach in the group now, and he can Max Show.
With the best of them, definitely.
totally.
Bob from Holland wants to know, what is your favourite Oasis album and why? Is it always the latest one, or...?
No, if I've got to pick one, let's disregard this one for a minute. I'd probably say definitely Maybe, because of what it meant to people. Because, you know, 10 years after it, 11 years now even, people are still going on about it, and it's still kind of a benchmark. It will always be any band that's coming out with a debut album. If it ain't as good as that, then it isn't the best debut album of all time, you know. And I still, even when we play some of the songs off that we've been rehearsing today, like Rock and Roll Star and Cigarettes and Alcohol, they still sound amazing to me. If I had to pick one, it'd be that, really.
Surprised in a good way by the phenomenal success of the Definitely Maybe DVD?
No, not really, because it is good. You know, it's a great album, and the kind of stories behind all those songs are great, and the interviews are really funny, and all the characters that were involved with us back in the day, like Mark Coyle and Owen Morris and Alan McGee and all that, it was a really, really, really special time, you know. And added to that, it was the first thing that we ever done, and we fucking hit the nail on the head so perfectly. It was unbelievable.
But it did take you a couple of attempts to record that album as well, didn't it?
Well, I mean, I've still never seen Oasis live. I've never been in a room and watched us. And every time we'd kind of done the record, people were going, it's not as good as you are live, and it's got to be that good. And we kind of didn't know what they were going on about. I remember one night completely washing my hands of it and saying I don't want anything more to do with it, you know. I hadn't had an album out, and I was really frustrated with it all already. And Owen Morris appeared on the scene, and the rest is a complete mystery to me.
Right, Stocky from Oldham wants to know, what's your least favourite Oasis song?
Roll With It, Round Our Way, Whatever. They kind of stick in the throat a lot, actually.
How long does it take you to get sick of a song? I mean, is it sometimes...
Usually about the length of listening to it after I've recorded it. Roll With It, I think they were very of their time. I heard Round Our Way the other night on a TV programme.
Wasn't it used as a theme for a TV programme, or...?
Yeah, it was on telly then. It wasn't a theme to... No, it was in a film, wasn't it? I think A Life Less Ordinary with Ian McGregor, right? It's appalling. Rubbish.
Robbie from Burnley wants to know, does the return of the old logo signify anything? Good question.
Yeah, well, I kind of wish we'd never changed it in the first place. Round about the time of Standing on the Shoulder Giants, I was obsessed with reinventing the band. And I thought the logo would do that. That's why we changed the logo.
Change?
Yeah, it'd be great. But no, just that we're sick of the other one, really. But I mean, that's kind of our logo, do you know what I mean? And we kind of toyed with the other one for a bit, and it's a bit posh and it's a bit new, and we're not.
Kiara, I think it is, has emailed from Milan, who says, hello, Noel.
Hello.
Don't you think that standing on the shoulder of giants and your experiment of doing psychedelic music has been undervalued? In respect to Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, I think that the lyrics I wrote for all those songs are fantastic. And I think the Fucking in the Bushes, Go Let It Out, Gas Panic, Where Did It All Go Wrong are great. I just don't think it sustained itself as an album, really. And that was my last hurrah as the main songwriter, you know, and it's been getting better since then. I kind of lost all enthusiasm for writing music. The workload was becoming too much for me, and I was kind of creatively I was kind of at a low ebb. But saying that, I demoed in those sessions for Stand the Shoulder Giants. I demoed a song called Little by Little, which everybody at the time was saying, well, it's got to be on the album. And I don't know why I decided to do this, but something inside me told me to save it for the next record. And I think I was right in doing that, because that kind of added to a turning point with Heathen Chemistry, I think. Because there was, Stop Crying Your Heart Out and Little by Little.
and what's Liam's song? Songbird, and that kind of made that album kind of pretty special, I think.
So I guess it makes it a much more sort of, you know, competitive camp now, really, doesn't it? Having 4 songwriters in the band. I mean, who do you listen to as far as you know, criticism is concerned? I mean, are you do you accept that or easily?
My first port of call for a second opinion is always Gem. Liam has got a great set of ears, regardless of what I might, you know, I've got my issues with that boy. God only knows. But he's got a great set of ears, and if something's great and he says it's great, then you know that, you know, I mean, he's not. He calls a spade, Liam. If it's shit, I'll tell you it's shit. Not unlike our good friend Mr. Weller, who has called me on more than one occasion at 4 in the morning. I've just heard your fucking new demos. They're fucking shit. It's like, thanks.
What do you say when he says that?
I refer him to the Band-Aid single and Live Aid, and that picture of him running through the forest with a spear, with a loincloth. Give us a ring when you've had breakfast. Goodbye.
And what about your music and also your lyrics as well? Kiara wants to know. I mean, do you feel that they've become more mature?
I don't know. I mean, you only know. I think you only find out things about yourself and about what you do by listening to other people. So she would have to tell me. I kind of do what I do, and I do it through pure instinct and feel. I don't contrive anything. The only time I ever tried to contrive anything was to reinvent the sound of the band on Standing on the Shoulder Giants, and failed miserably. Other than that, I just do what I feel is right. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you get it wrong. You know, but it's never contrived. It's always just, this is what I feel is right. You know.
Have you surprised yourselves with this album, do you think?
I surprised myself with my songs. I think they came out not like the finished versions that you hear. I'm not surprised that the recordings of them are so great. When I was writing them, I was really, really impressed, especially with the importance of being idle and mucky. I'm part of the queue. Because they're kind of a departure for me. Surprise is not a word, but I'm proud more than anything that I've kind of managed to get away from the flag waving, you know, anthems.
But having said that, I mean, you know, Let There Be Love.
Well, that's 8 years old. That song. That was written for Standing on the Shoulder of Giants as well. And never. It's kind of in the same ballpark now as Stop the Clocks is. I was never quite happy with it. And they decided to put it on the back burner, and then I wrote another middle 8, and then I wrote some more words, and then kind of fiddled about with it a bit until we got it right. So, like, Stop the Clocks will probably, if it takes 8 years, it'll take 8 years, but when it's out, it'll be perfect.
But you initially were a little bit reluctant to put Let There Be Love on the album.
Yeah, I didn't feel the album needed it, but Dave Sardi. It was great working with Dave because an American's perspective on what we do was very different from our own. And he was saying, you know, when I listen to Oasis albums, I want a song like that. I want that epic anthem, you know, with the strings and all that. And I was going, yeah, I'm kind of bored with that. And he was going, you're a fucking idiot. And I was going, I'll fight you if you call me an idiot. Again, he was going, you're a fucking idiot, man. And I said, right, well, I'll go with it. And we kind of went with him, really. And he led us down a certain path with it. And it came out great, and I take my hat off to him.
Can we talk about touring as well? Because how long are you going to be away for this year?
Going to be, I think, initially till January and probably till March if it goes well.
Right. And what about readjusting to sort of life after being on the road?
Dead easy. Takes me about 2 weeks.
Is that right?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I see it for what it is. You know, I love being on the road. I love travelling the world, and I love all that side of it, but you read these stories of people in bands and they can't get their head around going back to normal life.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, it takes me literally a fortnight and I'm back there, man. Well, not even a fortnight, you know. I really value my normal, for want of a better word, life. And I kind of really value my professional life too. And I kind of don't mix the two. I mean, when I switch off. I'm not Noel from Oasis. Then, you know, I'm just a geezer. You know?
A geezer. Isabella from Rio wants to know, what do you think about the British music scene now these days? Is it inspiring?
Yeah, I think we touched on that already with arrangements like the Libertines and Kasabian and all that lot.
Because you're an ardent gig goer, you aren't you?
Yeah, well, I can't. Pubs I like going to, but you know, you're generally getting your photograph taken by idiots with the fucking this going on. Can I get a quick picture? All that nonsense. And discos, I'm too old now for that, and the music's too loud and it's shit. But going to see a gig is great because once the band comes on, everybody's kind of looking that way and they're there to see the band, and you can kind of slink in at the back and remind yourself why you do it, you know. Yeah, I love going to gigs.
James from Luton wants to know, Noel, why do you stick to the same set list every night of the tour? You have so many great songs, why not do different sets every night?
Can't be asked in a word. I don't know. I think it's... I don't know, I kind of... If I was a fan of a band and I went to see my favourite band in Manchester and found out that... I remember going to see the Smiths once, and they didn't play This Charming Man. And then I read a review of the night after and they played it, and I thought, you fucking wankers, I'm not having that. So it might not be a conscious decision to do that, but we feel that no one town or no one country is more special than the other, and we kind of like playing the same thing every night because then people get the same feeling, and then you can judge where you're at, you know, as opposed to fanning about doing different songs and that. But you must have been to a lot of gigs then.
Well, when you are on stage, Noel, as well, I mean, you know, what kind of things are going through your head? I mean, are you able to sort of, you know, step back and enjoy the moment, you know, the kind of madness going on around you? Or are you sort of, you know, too busy thinking about, you know, the next guitar solo and Liam's just trod on me toe and
the songs that are easy to play, you can kind of step out of the bubble, if you like, and you're in the gig with the rest of the fans. And then the songs that require a bit more concentration, you know, there might as well be nobody else in the stadium. Well, it depends, really. It depends where you are. Some nights you breeze through gigs and it's great, and you kind of enjoy it. And then some nights they're kind of a bit of a struggle, and you don't enjoy it. And then there are the ones in between where some songs you maybe play a few bum notes. I mean, everybody that's come to see me play Live Forever for the past 5 years will know that I still can't get that guitar solo right, you know, which actually starts to make me laugh now. But it just depends, really, you know. I don't. They kind of all follow the same pattern, really.
Yeah. Scott from Scotland, if Liam decided to leave Oasis, would you continue?
No. I mean, I'd continue doing what I do, but Oasis is his. I mean, he started the band and he named the band. Thanks for that. And yeah, if he was to leave, what would he do though? If he got put in Nick for 2 years, he'd probably go and start another band for the crack.
I mean, never a dull moment when you guys are around. You know, I mean, you're kind of sort of in a relationship. I mean, when it does kind of sort of explode and sort of, you know, bubble over, I mean, who's the first person to sort of give in? To sort of, you know, wave the
wave the white flag.
Yeah, the flag. Yeah, and say I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's never a word that's ever been used.
Never ever. Really,
neither one of us have ever apologised. See, what happens is I'll kind of back down because I'm not really into confrontation. I'll kind of back down, and then behind his back, just surreptitiously go behind his back and get my own way anyway.
When was the last time that you came to sort of fisticuffs with you two?
In Barcelona. And for all the people out there, I fucking leathered him. Or for all the people who I'm actually in a quite unique position that, you know, lots of people would like to see him cowering in the corner with his head smashed in. I've fucking been there. He knows who the governor is in this group.
Hisham from Pakistan has emailed in. Are you ever going to do a solo album, Noel? That's a good question. Thought about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. But when that subject is always brought up, people kind of substitute the word album for career, or Liam especially does. I'd love to do a solo record. I mean, I've done kind of things, well, collaborate, you know, with Ian and stuff like that. But I'd love to do I'd love to. I don't know when I kind of get the time to get around to it. Because by the time I get off the end of this tour, I'll probably be sick of it and sick of Liam and sick of the rest of the band. And then I kind of think, right, well, I'll have 3 months off, and then by the time that's finished, I'll be mad for getting back in the studio. I mean, because I do miss them a lot. But it'll happen sooner or later. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but probably later rather than sooner. Probably not at all.
Let's talk about the bands, kind of individually, and what they each bring to Oasis as well. Let's start with I think you called him Wing Commander Bell, Andy.
Andy B.
What does Andy B bring to the group?
Andy B, even though he's not got the bass playing gene, because he was a guitarist, he's kind of slipped into the Derek Smalls kind of lukewarm water, to mine and Liam's Nigel Tufnell and whatever the other idiot's name was. He doesn't say much, Andy, but what he does say is quite concise and to the point, and you're kind of like, oh, hang on a minute, Andy's got something to say. What do you say, wise old fox? No. Gem, I love Gem. If any one man ever deserved to be in a band like Oasis, it's him. He's just fucking totally into it. His life works backwards from the band.
Did you know him well before?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, just hanging out in
Well, no, because we were all on Creation.
Yeah, of course you were, yeah.
And I was a big fan of Heavy Stereo, actually. And he used to come around to my house and stuff. I used to go to his gigs, and they supported us a few times. And
was a couple of their singles, Chinese
Burn's great.
Yeah.
Their first 4 singles before that record came out.
What was the very first single?
Smiler.
Yes. Was it?
Smiler?
I can remember interviewing them in outside a guitar shop in Denmark Street, actually, funnily enough, where I first interviewed you and Liam.
Oh, he's a good guy, Gem. I love him. Liam, he just brings the noise. He's just... It's Liam, innit? Zach's just a fucking great drummer, and he's kind of like, he's down at the new boy, but not in the sense that, I mean, he's kind of, I think he might even be the oldest, I don't know. But Zach's really cool as well. He doesn't kind of say a lot, but he's a great kid. And who else is in the band? That's it, innit? Yeah, me.
Yeah, what do you bring?
Me? I bring everything else. I mean, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't be here, would we?
We're big in Japan tonight, Noel. Yoshiko from Japan wants to know, if you were a teenager back in 1964, Noel, which style would you choose? Would you be a mod or rock and roll?
I'd be a mod.
He says emphatically.
Straight up, I'm still a mod. I always have been a mod, I think. Paul Weller, actually, one of the first things he said to me was, because he was going on, when I first ever met him in the, I think it was then called the Town and Country Club. It's now called the Forum. Was one of the first ever London gigs we've done. And he was insisting that we were mods. And I was insisting we weren't. And I kind of look back now, and he was claiming us for himself. He was like, you're a mod. And he was insisting, he wasn't telling me that, he was insisting, you're a mod and you belong to me, and that's the end of it. I was like, I'm not a mod, I'm a scally. You're not fucking scally, you're a mod. Scally, mod, scally, mod. I'm Mally, I'm a Scod.
Eshen from Ontario wants to know, I'm in a band, Soul Nidus. What do you think of the name?
Rubbish.
Nidus, Soul Nidus, with his brother. I write the songs and sometimes I want to effing kill him. Can you give me some tips about getting along? This could be the start of a column for you in a newspaper.
Yeah.
Dear Noel.
Ask Noel. Any tips for getting along with your brother in a band? Depends who's the most intelligent. I'd have thought the guy that writes the songs has probably got the upper hand in that department. Just play with his fucking mind, psychologically crush him until he doesn't know his arse from his elbow, and then kick him out of the group and get your sister in.
I mean, you and Liam, I mean, you've obviously experienced so much together. Does he surprise you as a person sometimes?
As a person?
Yeah.
Every day of the week. Well, once you think you've got him nailed, then, it's like the Paul McCartney thing, for instance, But I know I can sit and be irreverent about Liam and, have the crack and all that. you know, he's my brother, and that's basically what our relationship boils down to. So I don't have to think he's a geezer. I don't have to think he's great. I don't have to think he's a twat. You know, he's our kid, end of story. You know, and
do you like it when people are having a go at him? Will you stick
no,
up
no,
for
no,
him?
no. I'm the only person in England who's allowed to have a go at him. Anybody else gets a slap off me. You know, I'm the only person who's allowed to call him a cunt.
Because it's a bit
You
like
like to swear on the internet.
That was I do. You certainly.
Are they going to write that down?
I think hopefully, maybe perhaps there might be some sort of delayed reaction thing.
Spell it with a K if you are.
But no, that kind of sort of goes back to that thing with Lennon and McCartney, doesn't it? I mean, you know, Lennon used to say.
Well, so to Paul.
You know, but if anyone slagged Macca off, he would always sort of, you know, kind of. He was the only one.
Yeah, well, it's like with our records. You know, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're always dissing your own records," but it's like I'm allowed to pull them apart, but no one else is. You know. But I love Liam, and his songwriting. He surprised me that he's thrown himself into the songwriting, and he's that good. I have to say, he surprised me in that department.
Would he have tried back in the early days, those initial sort of rehearsal studios, you know, in Manchester?
He wasn't interested. He absolutely was not interested, and he couldn't play the guitar then. And he's not what you would call a bona fide guitarist. You know, he can't. I don't think he can play anybody else's songs. You know, he can only play his own. I fucking love that about him. I'm quite envious about that he's got his thing for him and it's for him alone. And but no Bonehead or Gwiggs, nobody was interested until I kind of said, look, you might not try getting your fucking finger out, you know. But you know.
And he looks great as well, doesn't he? I mean, you know, what would he be doing if he wasn't the singer in a band?
He'd be a chav, wouldn't he?
A chav?
Yeah. To all the people around the world, you
better explain
you won't
that.
understand what a chav means, but I can't explain it to you either. I don't know. I don't know what he'd do. What would he do? I don't know. I really don't know.
Probably just walk around singing to people.
He'd be one of them blokes that hold up them signs on Oxford Street that says golf sale. Something like that. Probably it'd say like furry skateboards this way or something.
Martin from Glasgow, do you still like coming to play in Scotland, and will you be watching the Old Firm game this weekend?
Yes, I've got my subscription to Setanta Sports, and I'll be watching the Blue Noses getting a fucking kicking. But actually, I'm in the unenviable position of my missus Sarah is a staunch Rangers supporter, and the last Old Firm game, the other lot won, and she was literally leaping up and down in front of the television. Yeah, you fucking dance. I was like, sit down for fuck's sake. But yeah, we're looking forward to Hampden Park, and we're playing. I think we're playing the Usher Hall in Edinburgh, and we always love Scotland because that's where we got signed, and it's kind of like our spiritual home, really. And the best gigs in the world are in Scotland.
Yeah, the audiences are phenomenal, aren't they?
Amazing.
Yeah. Looking back, you know, over how many years has it been now, Oasis?
Well, we formed in '91, so '91, 2001, 3, 4, 5, 13 years.
I mean, highlights, you know, sort of, I mean, again, I'm sure this must change all the time, Noel, but, you know, the kind of sort of moments, the magic moments, you know, silly moments that you know, kind of sort of are lodged in there that you know, have made it all worthwhile.
Writing and recording Supersonic and Live Forever, it kind of went upwards from there. Getting a record, Alan McGee being at King Tut's that night was amazing. Getting and signing a record, hearing Supersonic on Radio 1 for the first time. Nebworth, Morning Glory, all of it's been great, really. I wouldn't really change one single thing about it. If I have one regret, it's not having a couple of years out after Morning Glory and going straight into do BA now. We should have kind of gone away for a bit and done a bit of living. Instead, we felt invincible, you know. We kind of carried on and we wanted to do more and more and more. Anybody in their right mind would have taken a couple of years out and gone away and done a bit of living. But other than that, I think it's all been, from what I can remember, it's all been pretty good, I think.
And you still got that hunger, still enjoying it, still firing on all cylinders?
Yeah, I got to say, I didn't have it around the time of 1998, 99. I couldn't be arsed. I couldn't be bothered being in a group. I couldn't be bothered being in Oasis. Didn't like where we were at. You know, Creation was coming to an end. Bonehead and Griggs were thinking about leaving, although we didn't know that at the time. Looking back on it now, the signs were kind of obvious. It was a mopey kind of down period for everybody. But now, ever since Gem and Andy have joined, it's kind of been going up and up and up. You know.
One more last question, Noel, and then we are going to say good night, Vienna, even though you haven't been to Vienna yet. Sabrina from Belgium wants to know, who is Lila?
Lila is Sally, what's her name? And Don't Look Back in Anger. She was Sally Cinnamon from the Stone Roses song, Sally Cinnamon, and Lila is her second cousin. That sounds really pretentious, doesn't it? So I'll just say it's just a fucking word. It was actually, that song was going to be called Smiler, but Gem's previous group, Every Stereo, had a song called Smiler, and I didn't want to get into any litigation with him. Poor man. But it was kind of Smiler, Lila, that'll do.
Sabrina also wants to know, let's sneak in one more cheeky question. I hear that Liam has plans of starring in a film. Any truth in that?
Unless it's a remake of fucking Bugs Bunny meets the Tasmanian Devil, I don't know.
Well, she seems to know...
Go on then.
What has she got? She's got a title down here, the Banana Man.
The fucking Banana Man. I don't know about the Banana Man.
Jordan from Italy. What do you remember about the last concert in Rome in 2002?
It was amazing. It was in their version of the Wimbledon tennis courts. They've got these kind of outdoor tennis courts. They were two of the best gigs of that tour, and we love going to Italy. We're massive in Italy, and we love the kids there, man. Are amazing. If I could be any other race on this world, I'd be an Italian. They always turn up at the gigs on scooters with great shades and great clothes.
Very stylish.
Oh, they're fucking geezers. And even the girls are geezers. That's probably not a good thing. But they're great. They're actually, a lot of them hang around outside my house. And I was really polite and really well dressed, and they're quite knowledgeable about the group and really passionate about the group, which I love. And we'll be back in Rome pretty soon, I would have thought.
Well, on that note, it just leaves me to say that I have been Gary Crowley, and I've been joined here at the Mandarin.
When were you Gary Crowley?
I was for the last 2 hours, and I've been joined here at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in London by Noel Gallagher from Oasis. I really enjoyed that.
And I have been Noel Gallagher.
Remember, folks, remember.
Still am Noel Gallagher.
If you missed anything as far as the webcast was concerned, you can see it available as video on demand from tomorrow, and that is going to stay online all the way through until June the 24th. Good luck with the album and also the world tour as well. It's always good to see you. And we're going to end with cigarettes and alcohol. Wow. Any memories of this?
What, the video? Yeah, it was done in, I think it was done at the Borderline, and it was a fucking, what a day. It was just a real good piss-up, like all videos should be. Top video, top band, great geezer. He was Gary Crowley once in a previous life. I still am Noel Gallagher. Good evening.
Let's enjoy it. Okay, thanks for coming by. This is Oasis, Cigarettes and Alcohol. See you next time.